Hi, everybody. Week 3. We're motoring right along. I hope you've been enjoying the readings. I know the Fuku is it's a lot to kind of wrap your head around at the beginning, but there's some really smart comments in the perusal about that article. About that, it's a story, it's a novel about what's going on there, and what Fuku really is and what it means. Some fun thing. People have been putting some fun things up there. If you've got stories from your culture or from your part of this country that kind of remind you of Fuku, it's always fun to add those in there. That makes for some really fun conversations in perusal. Like I come from Texas, and my grandmother used to talk about hates. I have no idea how to spell it, but I'm assuming she meant ghosts and spirits and stuff. If you go outside at night, the hates will watch to get you, so watch it. So which is kind of what Fuku is all about. So language kind of can be very specific to one culture. It can kind of transcend cultures in that way. So that's another way to use language and help define a discourse community. So far what you've done is you've read a bunch of stuff about language and how we fit in with and how we fit in using language into different parts of our lives, from Lysa Cott's 3 different ways she speaks English, to Queen Latifah's thing, to Perry Kloss's thing about hospitals, to Fuku about culture. Now, what gets confusing to people sometimes is that classically a discourse community was defined as something that is a group that has a goal. But if you look at Fuku, it's just a word. So is there a goal there? Well, there are different scholars who work in the discourse community area, and they would say that yes, it's a discourse community because the goal is to maintain cultural unity. Just like being a doctor or being an engineer and picking up that jargon helps to create a unity within that group as well. Latifah is sort of, culture in another direction, kind of like Fuku is, but from a different perspective. So when you think of discourse communities, you can think of any group that you belong to that means something, that matters. It's got a reason to be there. And somebody left a message in there about, people who don't fit in, it's not really a discourse community. It's unless they kind of band together, do some of the things like Latifah was talking about. Or they have a group, where they go out and advocate for each other, or just even sit and talk to each other, right? But the goal is to kind of connect and become part of a group. So you can choose any kind of discourse, any one of your discourse communities. I mean, I think about the ones I belong to. I belong to TV writers as a discourse community, which is different from the screenwriters, very different discourse community. Writing teacher, that's another one. I crochet and I'm learning to knit, and those are 2 kind of different communities and different things. They have a little bit different languages and words. I own a dog, so I'm in the pet owners community. It's certainly in the part of town that I live in. There's a bunch of us kind of hang out together. So I could write about any one of those discourse communities and how language works within it. Even just the dog walker thing. There are listservs, we have emails that go back and forth, we have get-togethers, so people talk about issues around being a pet owner in Brooklyn. So any one of those things can be, or anything like that can be a discourse community that you want to write about. Tell us a story about it, because the bottom line on this assignment is you are telling us a story. You're giving us a narrative. You're making it look something like any one of the things that we've read so far. I don't really care, but it should be very visual, lots of good details, kind of bring us into your world. And so that's what we're all about this week, is how to create that and put it up for other people to look at and give feedback on. So let me share my screen here and I'll walk through the assignment stuff and where things are. So here we are, right? So first thing, you probably will need to get caught up on the Fuku and all that stuff. Take your time, just go through it. You do not have to reference any of those in yours, the thing that you're going to be doing, but it's good to see how language works in each one of those different groups. And that's the whole point, is you're going to be writing about how language works in that group of yours. Okay? So on this Padlet, I don't think anybody's got anything up here yet. just do a prompt. Which discourse community do you want to tell us about? And add an image or a link to give us a bit more of a feel for it. I think I mentioned last week how I had a student who was in a traditional Chinese culture organization, and she brought in a traditional dress, and it was gorgeous. We all went, "What are you doing carrying that around?" It was beautiful. So you could put pictures up like that up there. I've had people put images of cars because they were in the car rebuilding group. So anything you want to, right? And I love the things that you also putting up here for these on the Padlet too, by the way. So that's where you just sort of tell us what you're going to be doing. Now, if you know something about their discourse community and you want to just drop a suggestion or a question, feel free in the replies. I'm gonna remind everybody again, if you will sign in before you start doing the Padlet thing, it'll put your name on it automatically and you don't have to worry about it. And I don't have to try and chase you down because I want to give you credit for it. Okay. So that's what you're going to be doing, just coming up with the discourse community. And then after you do that, go over to, this is a link to the drive. It's the same as the link, back up. It's the same link as this. Okay, just put it there so it's easier to find. Now in this unit, you will find a thing called an activity page about writing concrete details. Now there's a link to this crazy woman. This is a little bit about Linda Berry. And this is what the activity assignment is. So you're going to think of a time when the language of your discourse community is being used. Get out some paper or pen or open a doc. Okay. Beware, the next step involves watching or at least listening to this video. This is the link to the YouTube video. And then when you've done that, after you've completed the activity, write a 1-paragraph scene about, just based on what you did. It doesn't have to even be anything you use in your final piece, but it give you an opportunity to practice using really good details and creating a scene, beginnings, middles, and ends, which is what stories are all about. So that's what this is. And then once you get it done, just copy it and paste it. Just find a blank page, just scroll down, find the bottom and add yours on there. Name or no name, doesn't matter. Be nice if you put your name on there, but you don't have to. This is a little bit about Linda Berry. She has got this really fun thing about the day she was late to school and about and why she was late and how the person at the front desk reacted to it. So you might want to just open this up, just make it bigger and look at it, because it'll strike some chords for more than a few people, I'm sure. So that's the activity. So again, think of a scene or a story about when your discourse community was using their kind of language. Could be in the academy, it could be on the street corner, it could be just, whatever. Get out some paper or a new doc, watch the video, and then write a paragraph based on what you did. Now I'm going to show you this. I don't have the sound on, but she's a very funny lady, and it takes a minute to get her there, but she will. Let's see, go.
Okay, what it is, class. So you already have the image that you're going to work with. You've written it at the top of a clean sheet of paper and you've drawn your X.
Okay, now you don't have to do that. You can, in fact, wait till you get down here a little bit. So you don't have to do the square, but you can if you want to. But then she's going to guide you through some visualizations. Okay, so it takes about 15 minutes to do the whole thing. That's it. And once you do it, visualizations, I think, are important particularly for writers, because anybody, a musician visualizes what the piece is going to be in their head before they play it. An athlete visualizes the game they're about to play, or visualizes a certain move they're going to try. A tennis player will visualize how they want their stroke to look. It's a really common technique, and the thing that she's doing in this video that you're going to be doing. I put my screenwriting students through it every time I teach screenwriting, because it sort of puts you into a spot and makes you look around and see it, so you can get all those things that are there, and you can create a real place and not just an idea of a place, which sounds ridiculous, but once you get into it, you'll know what I'm talking about. So that's the activity. Let me see if I can find my way back. to the main drive. Back over here, there we go. Thanks, and that, and then once you get that done, somewhere in here, doesn't matter when, go over to Perusall and read, most of you have probably already read this. And Neil Mott's shitty first drafts. Just, just what are they? How do you feel about just putting a pen to paper and starting, even not knowing where you're going? There's a saying in the writing world that you don't have to have a map to the end if you just follow your headlight, if you'll get somewhere. And that's kind of, that feeling of, oh my gosh, I can't start this. I just got a blank piece of paper. What am I going to do? I can't get this done. So if you haven't read this before, read through it. It's not very long. You don't have to do the answer the questions at the end. But talk about this kind of stuff, if you've ever done this before and how it made you feel. And then the next thing is, I think, and then write your own and put it up in the Google Drive, in that same folder. Like I said, it doesn't have to be polished or even finished, but there should be at least half of it done so we can give you feedback on it, because that's what we're going to be doing next week. So bottom line, tell us what discourse community, which one of your communities you're going to write about, and add an image so we can get a feel for it. Go do the activity so you can visualize a scene in which your discourse community is functioning like, and when language is being used. And then write a paragraph based on the activity. Then read shitty first drafts just to kind of get your brain in the shitty first draft mode. And then that should be, by Sunday night, if you can get them all done, you should. This only 15 minutes. And then your own first draft into the folder. And after that, we're going to be giving, I'm going to talk next week about how to give feedback that's not awful. At least I know, most people hate peer review feedback stuff because people go on grammar hunts, but we're not going to do that. We're going to do it a different way. But we'll talk about that next week. This week is all about picking your discourse community, practicing writing good narrative and descriptions, and then putting your draft up in the drive. So, and by the way, where is, some interesting things in here, and pretty much everybody is saying about Fuku that the beginning is tough. So you're all in good company. So whenever you add your 2 cents worth off of here, by going over to the Padlet, you'll see how many people are going through a lot of the same thing. And to be honest, the first time I read it, I went, wait a minute, I got to go look up some history, a lot of which I knew, but I needed to go back and check it out anyway. So, so there was that. So check these out too when you get that done. So I think that's pretty much it for this week. If you got questions, message me on Slack or send me an email, and I'll get back to you quickly. And I will start looking at things when you get them uploaded. Okay. And having said that, I will pause the recording and say I will see you next week.